was the stupid one who agreed to it.
Danielle,
Who did it?
that's enough.
I did, Danielle.
That fire was a brilliant plan, brother. What if someone dies? Well, that'll be bad for Dioteros. Besides, not much would be lost anyway.
Well, there are children and old people living there, and they might have died, Carlos!
Are you shouting at me?
What are we talking about? Tell him, father. Tell him that you were going to fire him from the sawmill for making it bankrupt. Wild lands.
Nadhani umefika muda wa kurudi kwa wazazi wangu na mwanangu Maya. Hapa haya ni maji ya shingo na nimeshindwa kabisa kuyaogelea.
Mimi naweza chapwa na mwanamke mimi huyo basi.
Hata wewe mtu mzima haujui kuchunga mzigo wako. Shauri yako.
This October, all roads lead to Kwale County as we honor our heroes. Join us for a comprehensive coverage of Mashujaa Day live from Kwale Stadium as we mark the milestones made in the affordable housing projects.
Nasema karibuni sana, muje enjoy, muone yale yote mazuri ambayo yako ndani ya kaunti ya Kwale.
All these will be live on KBC Channel 1 TV, KBC radio stations and all our socials. Heko kwa Mashujaa wetu.
From wherever you are watching us from, we want to warmly welcome you to Prime Edition. Tonight's coming to you live from Broadcasting House.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. My name is Mboya.
I am Muchuma Odim.
Top in this live broadcast.
Consider the application and argument by parties, the Constitution and the President. The prayer for grant of conservatory order is declined.
No stopping Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment trial at the Senate as High Court rejects request for conservatory orders.
Therefore, guide all committees which had issued summons to the Governor of Isiolo to appear, and in which the Governor failed to appear, to liaise with the Inspector of Police as a matter of urgency.
Senate orders arrest of Isiolo Governor Abdi Guyo for snubbing its summons.
Kenyans are urged to go for early screening of breast cancer to increase their survival rate.
Our socials at KBC Channel 1 on X, YouTube, and Facebook. Our sign language expert tonight is Susan Tuku.
That's right. A very warm welcome once again. Remember, embattled Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua to face the Senate on Wednesday, a couple of hours from now, live in studio a little later on. We have constitutional lawyer Mashina Wandugi and Felix Kiprono. We're going to have a conversation around what it means if the deputy president is impeached, and if he's not impeached, what are the potential repercussions, all that coming up. But first thing, straight to our top story, and embattled Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua will face the Senate on Wednesday for his impeachment trial after the High Court declined to issue conservatory orders.
Justice Chacha Mwita, while allowing the impeachment to proceed, said although the Constitution grants the court jurisdiction to intervene when there is a threat or violation of human rights, the court must exercise restraint in matters of impeachment.
The Justice Mwita subsequently referred the file to Chief Justice Martha Koome to empanel a bench to hear and determine the matter, saying that it raises weighty constitutional issues.
In his ruling, Justice Chacha Mwita acknowledged the doctrine of separation of powers as the basis for allowing the Senate to proceed with the impeachment process. The judge, however, recognized the deputy president had raised substantive grounds that need an empaneled bench. Justice Mwita thereby forwarded the file to Chief Justice Martha Koome to appoint a bench to determine the matter.
Having considered the application and argument by parties, the Constitution and the President, the prayer for grant of conservatory order is declined. However, in view of the issues raised in this petition, which also appear to relate to those in petition E522 of 2024, which has been certified for purpose of appointing a bench of an even number of judges to hear, I certify this petition as raising substantial questions of law and of public interest in terms of Article 165 sub-Article 4 of the Constitution.
The CJ also has the discretion to refer the petition to the three-judge bench recently constituted to consider earlier matters that had been filed challenging the deputy president's impeachment process.
Given the close proximity of the issues in this petition and those in petition E522, the Honorable Chief Justice may consider whether this petition may be heard by the same bench appointed to hear petition E522. Ours is a constitution of hope and promise that institutions established under the Constitution will comply with its fundamental principle, and the promise that the Constitution is supreme and any act or omission in contravention of the Constitution is invalid. In other words, it does not matter how far the process may have gone, since no action is out of reach of our Constitution.
At least 26 petitions had been filed challenging Gashagua's impeachment. On Monday, Senate Speaker Amason Kingi affirmed that Parliament could not be subjected to injunctions and that the impeachment trial of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua would proceed as scheduled. Gishoke Washira, Prime Edition.
Thank you, Gishoki Washira, for that report. Now, a section of women drawn from the Mount Kenya region are lobbying for Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru to become the next deputy president in the event the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is upheld by the Senate on Thursday.
Well, this as a section of Mount Kenya University students backed Gachagua's impeachment, saying that he did too little under his 2-year tenure.
Give us on Maina with that report.
As the Senate prepares to consider the impeachment motion of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua this Wednesday and Thursday, the debate on his possible succession is taking shape. A section of women drawn from the Mount Kenya region are already backing Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru for the position should the Senate uphold Gachagua's impeachment.
Naomba tu kitu moja hivi tukiwa wanawake wa Kirinyaga na tukiwa wanawake wa Kenya mzima. Tafadhali hii kiti tunaomba tu hii kiti njoo inaonekana iko na vazi. Tafadhali tupatie tu mwanamke.
Tuko na mama ambaye ni wa nguvu na ni our governor Anne Waiguru. Na ndio tunaomba juu ni mama mfanyikazi.
Ukikuja hapa Kirinyaga, magavana hao wengine wote walikuwa wanakuja hapa Kirinyaga kuona maendeleo yenye amefanya.
The women grassroots leaders, however, say apart from holding adequate credentials, Waiguru's appointment as a second in command will make gender inclusivity a reality.
Kama mambo imefika mahali imefika, iwe ya kwamba hakuna mambo ingine itawezekana ama imefika mwisho. Tunataka hiyo kiti ya deputy president irudishe Mount Kenya, kwa sababu hiyo kiti ilikuwa ya Mount Kenya.
Patie hiyo kiti irudi Mount Kenya na irudi kwa mama, na mama huyu tunataka apeo hiyo kiti, tunataka apeo Waiguru, our governor.
This as the student leaders under the Mount Kenya College and University Students Association backed Gachagwa's impeachment, arguing that he has done too little for the 2 years he has been in office.
The reason why we want Governor Anne Waiguru is because her track record speaks for itself.
Waiguru went on to become the first ever female chairperson of the Council of Governors, proving that leadership doesn't have to be loud, it just has to be effective.
The students also endorsed Waiguru's candidature for the position of deputy president. Giverson Minor, Prime Edition.
Now the Senate will convene for the next 2 days to hear and determine one of the most significant political hearings of recent times, and that's the impeachment trial of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua.
The motion, which has shaken the country politically, was formally submitted to the Senate after being passed in the National Assembly.
Now the proceedings will scrutinize 11 grounds laid out against Gachagua, with all eyes now on the Senate to see how the House will navigate the matter.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is set to face the full House of the Senate as he fights attempts to remove him from office through impeachment. Senate Speaker Amason Kingi gazetted Wednesday and Thursday as the days for hearing and determining the impeachment after the National Assembly voted to impeach DP Rigathi Gachagua. As stipulated under Schedule 2 of the Senate Standing Orders on Rules of Procedure for removal of a deputy president by impeachment, the process will kick off by a pre-hearing meeting by senators in a closed-door session before the preliminaries, where the rules of the procedure and schedule for debate for the next 2 days will be spelled out. This will then be followed up by 30 minutes of opening statements from both the National Assembly and the Defense Counsel for the Deputy President. After opening statements, the National Assembly will move to present its case within the allocated time and call its witnesses. They include former KEMSA CEO Dr. Andrew Mulwa, Secretary to the Cabinet Mercy Wanjau, and Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja. More witnesses may be presented upon request and approval of the same by Senate Speaker. After parties have presented their evidence, the Speaker of the Senate shall allow closing statements to be made on behalf of the National Assembly and thereafter on behalf of the Deputy President. The Senate will then move into a camera session to deliberate on matters raised before voting on all the 11 charges. The impeachment motion against DP Gachagua was spearheaded by Kibwezi lawmaker Mwengi Mutuse, who accused the Deputy President of gross misconduct, abuse of office, and violation of the Constitution. The charges also cover a wide range of issues, touching on ethnic breaches and governance failures that have allegedly undermined the credibility of the Deputy President's office. In the event any of the 11 charges are upheld by the Senate, the Deputy President ceases to hold office, but still has the option of fighting his political battle through the courts. The DP needs 23 senators out of 67 senators to defeat each and every charge leveled against him. For Prime Edition, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Weekends on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversations.
It's art, it's culture.
Movies, gossip and trends, sports, drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed.
We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine.
Well, welcome now to the interactive section. Of course, I'd mentioned that we were having Machina Wandiga and Felix Kiprono. Unfortunately, they've not made it in studio. I do have Keaton Fields, who's advocate of the High Court. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Tom.
Next to him, we have Kinywa Machina. Asante sana for making time to come and be with us.
Thank you for having us.
And Gibson Gisore, a constitutional lawyer. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining us. We all know what we are expecting tomorrow. The embattled Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, of course, is facing Senate. And we have seen some decisions that both the lower and the upper house have made. And of course, I want to remove this off the way. What comes to your mind, Gibson? Separations of powers, are we seeing?
Yeah,
into play?
Yes, I think that is coming out very clearly as opposed to any other time. We are seeing a clear differentiation between the roles of the courts and the parliament, whereby we are seeing the courts steering clear of the process of parliament and saying impeachment is a process, let it go on to the end. If there is anything which we need to deal, let's deal after they have done their process. Because they don't want to seem like they are interfering with the process, which is, of course, domiciled in parliament. The other scenario is whereby we are likely to see, because he has still a right of going to court, but it has got to be after the fact, not while the process is still ongoing.
Okay.
Yes, so the court, I think Justice Muita was very clear that he doesn't want to seem like they are usurping the powers of a constitutional body, which is the parliament. Let that process come to the end, and then if there is anything he feels aggrieved about, then he can be able to approach the courts.
To approach the court. And of course, the scenario that is likely to play out for him to go to the court if he's impeached.
Yes.
And so let me bring in Kinywa from where you are. What do you think? What does it mean if the deputy president is impeached?
Well, I think that there are political and legal ramifications that will ensue in the event that he's impeached.
How would those legal aspects look like?
The legal aspects, we can look at the short-term and the long-term legal aspects. In terms of the short-term legal aspects, we are yet to see if the courts will intervene after Senate has, after the trial, if they vote to impeach him by the 2/3 required. We are yet to see whether they will step in and issue conservatory orders to stop the process from going on. Because once they fail to stop that process through the issuance of conservatory orders, then that opens the way for a new deputy president to be nominated and to be approved by parliament. So, of course, when we're looking at the long term, if he's removed, there's still that issue of whether the process of impeachment was constitutional, so to say. Okay. Whether the safeguards were observed.
Okay, let me bring in Keaton, because this is a story that is really in the lips of many people in this country.
Absolutely.
You know, will he not?
Yes.
But I just want you to paint for us a picture of what, in the event that Senate impeaches.
Yes.
First of all, permit me to contextualize and to problematize the question of impeachment. Impeachment is a political tool of governance. And even if you were to problematize also the first issue that you asked about the separation of powers, it is clear even from the concept of separation of powers as espoused by Montesquieu Rousseau. It is clear that all organs of government must perform their distinct constitutional role. And as such, I even applaud the decision by the Speaker of the Senate, whereby in the matter of the impeachment of the Kericho County Governor, he ruled and he made an authoritative decision that it is not open for any institution or organ of government to encroach into the affairs or constitutional mandate of the Senate or any of the committees, because that will amount to a deadly attack. And I concur with that, because that issue also has been settled by the Supreme Court in Justice Mate case, whereby the Supreme Court has stated clearly and succinctly that the court should exercise judicial restraint, whereby it involves a political question doctrine. And as such, since the matter has been processed from the National Assembly or to the Senate, what we expect the Senate is to try and to determine whether the charges are substantiated or not. And if they are substantiated, that the Deputy President is to hold office within the meaning of Article 145 of the Constitution.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I hear you, but let me just bring in Gibson, because either way, whether he's impeached or he's not impeached, there are certain things that are likely to happen. Yes. Okay, because we have MPs who voted, in support of the impeachment, and there are those who voted against the impeachment. So let's just bring in the politics and try to understand how the members who voted for the impeachment, how do you think they're likely to convince their representatives that the decision that they took to impeach the deputy president was the right one, given the pockets of hostility that we are seeing,
I think that is going to be a very interesting scenario for us to observe, because we do understand that the people of Mount Kenya, politically now speaking, have been trying to surround themselves. That is the ground. The VP, the DP has been very clear that he's a villager. He goes to the village and listens to the ground. So politically must be able to have some following from the ground, save for some politicians who have some pockets of influence.
Yeah.
But we have seen recently, out of the decision by the National Assembly to impeach, we have seen some hostilities do come by, associated with some of the members when they went to the ground. So we expect, if this process goes to its logical conclusion, all the fan base or a larger section of Mount Kenya to be able to come in handy and be able to say, you crucified our son. That is going to have a lot of backlash for some of the members who voted for the impeachment of... and this was overwhelmingly, from Mount Kenya, expected that we could have a substantial number, but unfortunately we actually saw quite a number of people vote for his impeachment.
Yeah.
In the event that that process is saved by the Senate, it's also going to be a very interesting situation, because now you have these people to deal with. If you will be having the ground, then it means these members of parliament, all of them will need to go home. They will have to face the arm, and they will need to go home. So it will be very interesting to see how some of these members will be able to cultivate the relationship, especially within the Mount Kenya region, and be able to come or fall back behind him. But the most interesting one is, for me, is really between him and the president, if the Senate does not impeach.
And we'll come to that. Kinyo, what are your thoughts? How do you see it in the event that, the Senate upholds the lower house's decision of impeachment? How do you think the members of parliament who voted for the impeachment motion who will have to deal with the electorate back home?
I think they will be on trial, if you ask me, because we've had situations, or we've had a lot of concerns on the public participation issue. We also have a lot of concerns, or there are a lot of concerns about the issue of what was said in the National Assembly and the extraneous issues that came out that might not have been linked to the 11 charges. So, and we've seen a very vibrant public, not only in Mount Kenya, but across the country. We've seen people following this issue, and we've also seen people who do not necessarily agree with the deputy president feeling this is perhaps a witch hunt to them. And so it's not like they like him, but they want to see this so-called underdog in light of the numbers that were that appended their signatures to the impeachment motion and the overwhelming support of that motion. So I think it's a tricky political hill. And they'll be on trial. They'll have to justify their decisions and how they voted. Yes.
Okay, let's take a short break before I bring in Keaton Fields. Of course, tomorrow the embattled Deputy President is expected to face the Senate over his impeachment trial. And remember, the High Court, we know, declined to issue those conservatory orders that he had sought. We're taking a short break. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Mapato ya jasho lako, faida ya nguvu zako, na juhudi za kila siku kuboresha maisha yako. KDIC ndio ngao ya jasho lako. KDIC linzi wa akiba yako. Relax, akiba yako iko salama.
KDIC, safer, stronger together.
Hapa ni Butterfly Care Center. Na watoto hawa wanahitaji proper improvement kwa dormitories, classroom, kitchen, vyoo, mahali pa kuogea na mahali pa kuchezea. Pamoja tuna nguvu, na ndio maana *570# option 4 kuna probox na 1 million Kenyan shillings. Inamaanisha kila stake ambao unacheza nayo ili kushinda probox au 1 million, part of it inatengwa ili kuimarisha maisha ya watoto wa Butterfly Care Center. Iko na ni mpya na inakufaa, na ni *570# option ya 4. Pamoja tuchezi tu, tunasaidia na tunashinda.
This October, all roads lead to Kwale County as we honor our heroes. Join us for a comprehensive coverage of Mashujaa Day live from Kwale Stadium as we mark the milestones made in the affordable housing projects.
Nasema karibuni sana, muje mujienjoy, muone yale yote mazuri ambayo yako ndani ya kaunti ya Kwale.
All these will be live on KBC Channel 1 TV, KBC radio stations and all our socials. Heko kwa Mashujaa wetu.
Welcome back to Prime Edition. We are speaking with a panel here: Keaton Fields, lawyer, Kinyua Moshina, and Gibson Gisore. Of course, tomorrow the Deputy President is in Senate, and there is going to be a debate in the upper house. How will things pan out? Well, we are having a panel in studio to help us get more insights of what likely scenarios we will be expecting tomorrow. Keatons, let me bring you in. Kinyua was talking about giving us a sense of how the electorate might react, you know, in the event that the Senate upholds. I don't know what your thoughts are.
First of all, from the Newton's third law of motion, in every action there is opposed and equal reaction force. The essence why public participation is immortalized under Article 10 of the Constitution was so as to make all the decisions to be people-centered. And we expected all the members of the National Assembly to have consulted their constituents on the way forward, on whether to approve or to accede to that motion of impeachment. Yeah, and if at all they did approve, then we believe that they derived that legislative authority from the people. But if at all they acted contra the people's intentions, then it will follow, therefore, that they stand to meet the people at the ballot. And even from the previous presidents of any electionary period, it can indubitably be stated that 70% of the members of the National Assembly have always been sent home. Reasons? They act contra the people's intentions and or aspirations. So if at all their vote and their approval was not approved by the people, then it will follow that come 2027, most of them will go home. That's my take politically. Because at the end of the day, this is a political process, but they must derive what they are doing, every action that they are doing before the House. It must be sanctioned by the people. And if they act contrary to the people's aspirations and wishes, then they will meet the wrath of the people at the ballot.
Gibson, you had him. Do you think that public participation may be an area of contention? Is that, we know the Senate process is will go on tomorrow, but it brings out the question of public participation.
We'll discuss public participation in two ways. There's the aspect of what already had been done in Parliament, which, of course, as he has rightly put it, that the people were consulted, but the question now which comes is, was the public participation qualitative and quantitative? Because that has got to be captured. Both limbs must be explored to the end. So that is a very big question, especially in the legal circles, whether that should be, because we saw some constituencies where people never showed up. Actually, even the office was never opened. So does that count? Does that amount that these people were represented? When the member of parliament was voting, what was he voting for? Because he never consulted the people, or the people never got to give their views. There was the other second aspect of the public participation being held in days which are constitutionally recognized as religious days. That is on for the Seventh-day Adventist was on Sabbath, the Islam on Friday. So that's another issue, because the courts have pronounced themselves a number of times that religious liberty is something which has got to be respected. So those issues will be able to be discussed at length to be able to determine whether that public participation process was actually something which we can be able to take home. There is the other debate whether the Senate should be able to have their own process of public participation. So that one, the jury is still out. We're waiting to see what the Senate will be able to do. If they rely on the public participation of Parliament, which was, of course, from some circles, people might be able to have some reservations on the same, then the whole process is going to be tainted from a legal perspective. So it's very important that we are towing on a very thin line on issues public participation, because that is a constitutional question, not even political. Impeachment is a political process, but the public participation is a paradigm which has been put in there that the public needs to be consulted. So if that threshold was never reached, then I think if that ends up in court, then the court will be able to examine whether that was actually something which could be considered as a ground for rendering the process to have been successful or unsuccessful in this particular case.
Before I get Kinyo's thoughts on whether that then can form the basis of a legal argument for the DP's team in the event it goes all the way to the court, let me just ask you, Gibson.
Yeah.
The president is quiet.
I think I seem to concur with him being quiet, because impeachment is really not a presidential aspect. It's a parliamentary process. So if you are the person who your deputy is being impeached, then if you dare raise a finger or say something, then that will be construed. So he wants the process to go unperturbed, without any influence. It's akin to a divorce. If a man, if a woman goes to court that wants to divorce from the wife, if I might hypothetically use that process, when the woman is out there saying all the other things, you also don't jump in and start saying, even you did 1, 2, 3. You keep quiet. Let the process go. You prove your things in court. I mean, at a future date, if you want to be able to give some information of what really transpired, then it works better that way when you keep quiet. Okay. That people cannot be able to throw some shade on you.
Okay, before I bring in Kinyua, let me just hear from Keaton Fields.
Yes.
That silence, what do you think would be the potential repercussions?
First of all, it will require a higher force to displace a higher force. this is a second in command, Protocol 2. And if you see such an impeachment of such a magnitude, it requires a higher political goodwill. Because if you were to ask yourself and to do the observation, for you to do such a process, you must undertake public participation. And the first thing is, for you to do such a magnitude of public participation, you require resources. How the resources were approved and how the public participation was done with full flair and being supervised by the security. Then the only implication that you can get is it was sanctioned by Gravity 1, a higher force than that of the second command. We don't know which force, but it was a force higher than the second command for such an exercise to be done. Okay. But the silence also will be strategic because, constitutionally speaking, the president is a sign of national unity. And if he were to descend directly in such an arena of politics, then it will taint, and it will also cause division within his party and the entire nation. But of course, we know, and from what is not said, you can always observe that it will only require a force higher than the second protocol to displace the second protocol.
Okay. Let me bring in Kinyua, and because Keaton spoke about public participation.
Yes.
Do you see that as, in the event that it goes all the way to the court, as being one of the arguments that the DP's team can put forth? And number two, there are those people who are asking, does the DP really know his boss?
Yes.
Okay, because if you look at the history of this country, we have had, a history of presidents and deputy presidents. From the first president, we remember Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, then it moved on to the second president. We remember, and on to the third. Remember President Moi with Professor George Saitoti saying that, politics is not about friendship, and so on and so forth. So if you look at that landscape, you see an issue between presidents and their deputies.
Yes.
So how important is it for a second in command to learn, his boss, to know the boss?
Yes.
Yeah. How important is that?
Firstly, on the issue of public participation, I concur fully with my colleagues. The issue of public participation is one of the linchpins that will be used by the Deputy President's legal team to fight this impeachment in courts. And the reason is that straight from the High Court to the Supreme Court, the participation of the public, as enshrined in Article 10 and other constitutional articles in our Constitution, it's very important that the people be involved in anything that Parliament is doing, whether legislative or in terms of oversight. We've seen the finance bill that became an act, the Finance Act of 2023, being thrown out by the courts, though it's an issue still in the court, thrown out on the issue of that public participation. And if you can remember, Tom, on Friday, the 4th of October, the National Assembly purported to have a public participation exercise in all counties. And on the same date, the High Court in Kirogoya, sitting in Kirogoya, held that and passed an order that public participation should be done in all the constituencies in our country. And the National Assembly clerk did respond and claim that, and say that they were going to abide by those orders of the High Court. But they did not. And we've even seen the Senator, Zit for Kitui, or no, Makweni, Dan Maanzo, saying that in a place like Kibwezi, there is no public participation that was done. Even in the constituency that I live in, or the one that I come from, I didn't see any public participation being done at the constituency level. And so that is one of the issues that will be used, because counties are very vast. You will have some people going dozens of kilometers. So are you saying that that person was well represented if at all they had to use so many resources to actually go to a hall one whole in the county to give their opinion.
So public participation is obviously going to be
it's
one
going
of
to
those
be,
issues that
it's going to be
we're likely
very
to see come up.
Yes.
You know, should the process go to the courts.
Yes,
Yeah.
and remember, one of the things that we need to look at the essence of the attack of the Deputy President's legal team towards this impeachment, straight from the start to the end. One of the main issues will be about the procedure. Because here we have procedure and we have substance. If the procedure is flawed, then it doesn't matter whether he did all those things that he's accused of and that you are able to prove them, or that you had reason to impeach him for them. So public participation is going to be straight, it's going to go down to that, it's going to be part of the procedure that will be questioned.
It's going to be a center bolt in that process. Okay. What about the question, the long history of fallouts between presidents and their deputies, especially in the context that Katiba 2010 is now active?
I like that you've, because my answer was going to be focused on that last issue that you've mentioned.
Yeah.
We've seen situations where presidents have fallen out with deputy presidents, straight from when Kenya became a republic.
Yeah.
What is unique about the situation since the fourth president of this republic took over is that those two presidencies, this one and the last one, the previous one, were based on a new constitution where you couldn't just fire your deputy or your vice president or the vice president at the time. But right now we have a situation where the role of the deputy president is protected by the constitution. Hence that very difficult way of removing him from power.
Yeah.
Once the president and the law says, and there are cases that have said that once I choose, or you choose me, Tom, as your running mate, you have nominated me, and then I'll be up for the IBC to clear me. But once that process goes on and we win the election, it's a joint ticket.
Okay.
So, but at the same time, as much as those constitutional protections are there, we know who holds the arm and the knife.
Okay.
Just like in the previous government.
Okay.
So I can say that as a deputy president, I was elected with Tom, President Tom, and I can go and make a lot of noise out there. But the thing is, Tom has the instruments of power. So I might be there, but I might be very frustrated. I might cut a very frustrated figure.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So as we wind down, Gibson, what is that new thing that we have not seen in Parliament, you know, that we should expect at the Senate?
What we need, of course, from my expectations, there's nothing surprising or about the decision of Parliament, that's the National Assembly. What I'm expecting to see is how that voice of reason come to the floor of the House or the Senate, and then we are able to see a substantive debate, because what I saw in Parliament largely could not be able to amount to, because there are some issues when he presented his memorandum and his speech, there are some issues the Deputy President raised. But I think whatever reason he gave, nobody really had time to listen to it. It was kind of a process that it had been determined. You have to go, you have to go. So we need to see a clear process happening, a fair process whereby whatever he has raised, these issues have got to be canvassed by the members of Parliament. They have the memorandum, they have been given what has come from the National Assembly. So we expect a conclusive debate, which at the end of the day, if they really find a decision that indeed they have to impeach him, then they will have discussed these issues point by point.
Okay. Your final thoughts? We've had Wakili, substantive debate and canvassing issues raised by the Deputy President's team. Your final thoughts?
My final thoughts revolve on Senate. Senate has to be sober. They have to show that they are impartial. We cannot have a situation like the one we had in the National Assembly, where the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker said outside the National Assembly, before even the motion was tabled, that the Deputy President should be impeached. We need sobriety from Senate, so that regardless of the decision that they're going to make, we need to see a a very fair process.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, fair process. And your final comments, Wakili Kittons?
My final comment is, Senate being a trial house is obliged to hear both the National Assembly and His Excellency the Deputy President. And the standard of proof that will be expected is that of in slightly above the balance of probability as settled in the Wambora case. And irrespective of the decision that they are going to make, there are certain issues that will also come up, like the question on what amounts the 2/3 of the 67. Is it a delegation vote, or is it the whole house vote? And the law has been settled in the county Kwale that it should be 2/3, meaning 44 point something, meaning it should be 45. So that also the House Speaker will also have to rule on that issue, and also on the threshold. But be that as it may, this is a political process. And it is only open for the constitutional bodies of the Senate and the National Assembly to determine. And going forward, I also expect that the courts will also exercise judicial restraint. And based on the previous precedents on the question of public participation, it has not been settled in the law. It is still a gray area. The other question of in fair trial, I think it has always been demonstrated. So let's look at and see what will transpire tomorrow.
Absolutely. And of course, the clock is ticking. I want to thank my panelists, Keaton Fields, Kinyua Machina, and Gibson Gisore for those insights. We're taking a short break. We'll be back. Don't go away.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who's the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevakishwa. Hii wakati tulikuwa tunapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow. Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Welcome back to
Prime Edition. And the Senate Speaker, Amos Kingi, has directed the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, to apprehend and produce Isiolo Governor Abdi Guyo before the Senate.
Now, while delivering the order, Kingi said that the verdict rendered is not a favor and that the IG ought to enforce the said orders.
Kingi has further urged senators to bring forth a censure motion against the county head who will be prosecuted in the Senate.
In both instances, the governor has failed to appear in a clear disregard of the Senate's power under the Constitution. This conduct by the governor not only undermines the rule of law, but obstructs the Senate from discharging its role as the protector of counties under Article 96(1) of the Constitution and the primary organ of oversight on the use of public funds by county governments under Article 96(3) of the Constitution. This is not acceptable. It cannot be allowed to continue. Honorable Senators, in light of this, I therefore guide all committees which had issued summons to the Governor of Isiolo to appear, and in which the Governor failed to appear, to liaise with the Inspector of Police as a matter of urgency and require the Inspector General of Police to produce the Governor before the respective committees at a determined date and time.
Is that you should actually have ordered the Inspector General of Police to search and produce the Governor, wherever he is, if he's in Isiolo, Dubai, whichever part of the world he's in, Mr. Speaker, until he's produced here before the Senate.
On to breast cancer awareness now. Health Cabinet Secretary Dr. Deborah Baraza has called for screening to increase survival rates of breast cancer patients.
The CS also called for more Kenyans to register under the Social Health Authority in order to access care.
The CS made the remarks in Bungoma County during the commemoration of the Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
The Breast Cancer Awareness Month was marked amid growing concern over the increase in cancer burden in Kenya. This year's commemoration was under the theme, Close the Gap, Improving Access to Breast Cancer Services and Support. The Ministry of Health urged community health promoters to work closely with communities to reduce cases of late diagnosis.
Ni rahisi kuzuia kuliko kuponya. Kwa hivyo wafanyakazi wetu wa afya wa nyangani CHPs wako na kazi ya kuhakikisha kwamba wametutembelea katika vijiji zetu na kutuelimisha na kutusaidia ili tuende kwa kipimo ya mapema. Kama nchi mwaka uliopita 23-24 financial year tulitumia karibu milioni 900 million kutibu wale wa mama wote ambao walikuwa na saratani ya titi.
So I urge us all to confront the myths and stigma surrounding breast cancer and other cancers, and that everyone seeking care should not fear.
According to the Health Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Deborah Barasa, more registration to the Social Health Authority will ensure that more patients, including those suffering from cancer, access care.
Zamani ungeenda kwa hospitali kama leo tunasema mambo ya kansa, unaambiwa toa 400,000, toa 600,000. Mimi nilikuwa daktari, nilikuwa naona. Na wagonjwa wangeniuliza, tutoe wapi? Tufanye nini? Unaona? Lakini na hii social health insurance inahakikisha Wakenya wote wanaweza pata huduma.
SHA iingilie kati na waweze kusaidia wagonjwa wa kansa. Those chronic diseases, tafadhali muangalie ndani. Saizi unaambiwa haifanyi. What do you do?
Pengine mtu amepatikana kwa stage 1, amegunduliwa mapema, yes. Lakini kwa sababu ya changamoto za pesa na hii rollout ya SHA ambao tunaambiwa ni SHA inafanya kazi, kusema kweli haifanyi kwa sasa.
Some warning signs of breast cancer can include a breast lump or thickening, often without pain, change in size, shape or appearance of the breast, dimpling, redness, pitting or other changes in the skin, change in nipple appearance or the skin surrounding the nipple, abnormal or bloody fluid from the nipple. Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
Member states of the Southern Africa Development Community and the East African Health Community have adopted food fortification as a key strategy to address micronutrient inadequacies and increase consumption of iron and folate.
Speaking in Mombasa during a regional consultation on sustainable food fortification and universal salt iodization, Iodine Global Network Tanzania representative Professor Festo Kavishe said that the deficiency of essential vitamins and essential minerals collectively hinder a child's growth and well-being of adults, particularly women.
The target is to have 500 million people from the Eastern and Southern Africa continue receiving the essential minerals. Sentiments echoed by the Southern African Development Community. Botswana representative Raymond Chikoba.
Na namna nzuri ya kuweka hivi vitu vingine nilivyosema, kwa mfano vitamin A, zinc na virutubisho nyingine ni kuwa wakati ule unga unatengenezwa, uwe ni unga wa ugali, uwe ni unga wa chapati, uwe ni unga wa kutengeneza mikate, huwa vile virutubisho vinawekwa moja kwa moja. Kwa hiyo kazi kubwa yetu sasa ni kuhakikisha tunakuwa nchi zinakuwa na namna ambavyo vinafanya ushirikiano na zile kampuni ambazo zinazalisha vitu hivi. Ukitazama katika uchumi wetu unategemea sana watu kwanza wenye akili ya kutosha, na pili wenye nguvu ya kuweza kufanya kazi ya kutosha. Kwa hiyo hivyo vitakuwa vinapotea, lakini tukiwa na madini ya joto tunaongeza sasa vitu vyote hivyo, ile intellectual capacity yetu tunaiongeza, na ule uwezekano wetu wa kufanya kazi kwa bidii unaongezeka. Na ukitazama kitu tunachofanya hapa sasa hivi, tunajaribu kuhakikisha zaidi ya watu nusu bilioni ambao ni milioni zaidi ya 500 katika upande wa Afrika ya Mashariki na Kusini wanapata virutubisho hivi.
So basically we are here to ensure that all partners are aligned, and we are coming up with a roadmap for the next 5 years in terms of coordination of the food fortification efforts and support to countries.
Now, the university's academic staff union has once again threatened to paralyze learning across all universities in the country.
According to the union secretary, Constantine Wasonga, the industrial action is set to take place after the lapse of the 7-day notice issued to the government to implement the return to work formula mutually signed on the 26th of September 2024 following a nationwide strike on all public universities.
The agreement between the employer and lecturers proposed a 7% to 10% increment in the salaries of September, and it has not been implemented, hence its need for industrial action.
And it's not a threat. Ooh. Why is the government quiet? By next Tuesday, university should have given our members the new pay slips with the 7 to 10% factored. And those pay slips, we expect them to go online next week, Monday. If the pay slips will not have the 7 to 10% increment, I want to invite members of the media to converge here for further direction.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us.
All right, onto politics. Interim Orange Democratic Party leader Professor Anyang' Nyong'o has assured of rigorous party strengthening initiatives as he takes over the reins of the Orange Party in an acting capacity from Raila Odinga, who is focusing on his African Union chairmanship campaigns.
Nyong'o says that the Orange Party has stood the test of time and can only get better, even as he rallies leaders and party followers towards the party's ideals.
The Kisumu governor, alongside other party officials, at the same time dismissed claims that the opposition party had joined the Kenya Kwanza government, saying ODM is preparing itself to form government in the next general election.
In the building of this party, in the salvation that we need for this nation, so that every Kenyan, wherever he is, feel that he or she is a Kenyan, entitled to good life, entitled to justice, entitled to dignity, entitled human recognition. ODM! ODM!
We have to realize that over the last more than 20 years, heading to 30 years that ODM has been around, ODM has been the solid foundation on which Kenya is resting on. Other parties come and go, ODM is there to stay, and we have to continue to build ODM. And I think that is what we're looking forward to our acting party leader doing.
This is what we have. This is our house. This is what we will build. We are not confused at all. ODM stands alone as a party. That is a movement for the people. We are social democrats. We will speak for the people. We will stand with the people. We will move with the people. And we will stand under the guidance of Raila Amolo Odinga, having left for us now Peter Anyang' Nyong'o.
Mount Kenya Forest Sustainable Landscape Management Board has launched a 4-year plan aimed at boosting the forest cover as well as conserving the Mount Kenya Forest water tower.
The plan will commence in the counties of Embu and Kirinyaga and later be rolled out in other counties in the Mount Kenya region. This and other stories in our county news roundup.
The plan will run from 2025 to 2029 to restore the forest cover and also engage locals in regenerative farming to reduce soil erosion and conserve the land and water.
So far, we have rehabilitated together about 129 hectares of degraded lands in counties of Embu and Kirinyaga combined. So that's our work we do with stakeholders.
And United States of America Ambassador to Kenya Meg Whitman said the U.S. is committed to supporting development projects in Kisii County.
We have a program for technology in health and HIV support for orphans and vulnerable children. We have a Western Kenya sanitation project, which I think could potentially be expanded dramatically. A Western Kenya water project here.
Elsewhere, Public Health Principal Secretary Mary Mudhoni has said a committee will be set up to implement monthly cleaning exercise for the polluted Athi River following concerns raised by leaders of Machakos, Makueni and Kitui counties.
When we join hands, and even if it becomes part of Epuka Uchafu, that every month we will practice Epuka Uchafu by cleaning that river, then so be it.
Meanwhile, the county government of Embu has earmarked 3 level 3 health facilities in the county to be upgraded to level 4 status and suspended the collection of facility improvement fund in level 2 and 3 hospitals across the county.
Na wamesikia burden ya health imewaingia zaidi kuliko vile ilikuwa zamani. Na tumesikiza na tukasikia malalamiko na kilio chao na tumeona ni vizuri tuache hiyo malipo kabisa. Tukome hiyo malipo kabisa.
In Siaya County, residents of Siranyawita village in Ugunja sub-county are appealing to the government and well-wishers to come to the aid of 3 houses was demolished in a land grabbing incident.
Hapa ndio nilikuwa naishi, hapa ndio nilikuwa nalala, vile amebomoa nyumba. Saa nyingine lazima tu nitafute marafiki wangu ndio nilale. Na uwezi kulala kwa rafiki hata 3 days, lazima uulize shida ni nini. Sasa nilikuwa nataka kama anaweza toka, atuambie shida, atuambie naenda wapi saa hii.
And Bukura Agricultural Training College in Lurambi constituency Kakamega County has been closed indefinitely over student unrest.
Insecurity imechangiwa sana na watu ya villagers. Wanatuvamia usiku na mchana bwana. Sasa wamenyoa wanafunzi wetu shingo, wanataka kuua. Juzi wamekata shingo na hakuna mtu anaongea. Polisi wamekuwa hapa lakini hakuna kazi wamefanya.
Finally, the Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy has assured residents of Kisii that it will attain the 25,000 tree seedling target set for the Nyanturagu swamp.
Tupalilie ile sehemu ambayo ile miti imeanza na sehemu zingine ile ambayo imekauka pia tutakuja kureplace ndio tuhakikishe kwamba mahali ambao tumetoka hatutarudi huko tena.
Martini Maslin for Prime Edition.
Now we focus on matters business this evening. My name is Warimo Jenga, and Kenyans should now embrace locally manufactured goods to stimulate industrial activity and create a cycle of prosperity. Industry Principal Secretary Dr. Juma Muhwana says creating homegrown demand for locally produced goods is key for driving industrial expansion. Speaking during the announcement of the seventh edition of the Changamka Festival Expo to be held in Nairobi early next month, Dr. Muhwana encouraged consumers to shift their focus from imported goods, which make 80% of Kenyans' imports, to locally produced items and help close the gap and support domestic industries.
For example, if you look at the area of textile, if we just imagined, for example, that 20% of these people are putting on made in Kenya, that will be a serious opportunity. If you look at leather, our shoes, our bags, our belts, we have a lot of livestock. Kenya has the third largest herd of livestock in Africa after Algeria and Ethiopia, but we are importing shoes.
We have identified at least 4 pillars that we are focusing on. One is global competitiveness. 2 is export-led growth. 3 is SME development. And the last one is agriculture for industry. For you to be globally competitive as an industries, you have to be locally competitive.
The promise of high returns backed by technological advancement, mobile and internet penetration have made forex trading popular in Kenya. However, high transactional costs and infrastructural challenges are some of the issues that are slowing its uptake.
Many traders, particularly the youth, face significant barriers to high cost of internet access. Our mobile data initiative is a solution to this problem. By offering complementary data, we are ensuring that traders across the country, whether in urban or rural areas, can access the markets anytime, anywhere, and without interruption. This is more than just about access. It's about financial inclusion.
When anyone, whether it's a youth, someone who's very young, the first thing is let them be guided. Let them first go to someone who's going to help them understand the markets, understand what trading is, where are they going to trade, how are they going to do it, where are the risks in regards to this trading, so that they are able to trade with the knowledge that they can make gains, they can grow themselves as much as minimizing the risk of ruin.
We now link up with our reporter Betty Kiptum, who is in Dubai, and she has been sending a very interesting story. And tonight, a silent police station with no police in sight. Just you and machines where you get services directly from the police. The smart police station in Dubai is helping uninformed officers to offer services through technology. Here is that story.
The story today is about police stations that are offering service without human interaction. This, which I'm standing next to, are models of police stations that are already running around Dubai. These particular police stations are built in a way that they have a lot of artificial intelligence incorporated, that there is no police officer in sight to assist people.
In the fully autonomous smart police station, one finds a service ATM where they can get any services from the police, such as reporting a crime, including financial and online crime, paying for traffic fines, booking vehicles inspection, getting police permits, among others. Both residents and visitors can use the service.
You can have more than 40 services, with its different kinds, whether it was traffic services or even criminal services, any type of certificate. And what makes it so special, that without any integration or any integrate with any human being, a real-life officer, everything is digital, everything is with AI.
The latest design is a floating police station deployed in the islands. Plus, if you are in a hurry, no worries. Find a drive-through police station and get your service. There are currently 22 smart police stations across Dubai and have serviced over 2 million people since inception in 2017. The stations are designed with inclusivity in mind to cater for persons with disability as well as children.
It's accessible for everyone, people with disabilities, everyone, and from the opening until now, we've reached more than 2.1 million visitors. It made it so special and so easy for us, or even for the customers themselves. You can have more privacy while talking. No one is here.
Reporting from GTEX Global in Dubai for Prime Edition, I am Betty Kiptum.
Thank you, Betty, for that story. Yesterday we had flying cars. Today we have smart police stations. Interesting stories, Betty, all the way there from Dubai. Now, motorists are steadily embracing either liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, or compressed natural gas to power their vehicles in a drive to reduce running costs. The key difference between the two is that while LPG is a liquid that has petroleum components, natural gas is a cleaner gas that does not have petrol. Now, this happened in Tanzania, where the managing director, Ismail, says natural gas is 50% cheaper when compared to petrol.
A long queue of tuk-tuks and vehicles lining up to either convert vehicles to start using compressed natural gas or refill their tanks with a compressed natural gas.
Everyone, when I say gas in Tanzania, they perceived it as LPG. So LPG is liquefied petroleum gas, where the component of LPG is almost 96% petrol and 4% gas. Tanzania has a lot of natural gas reserves, and it does not have any liquid or petrol product as a component of it.
Even though there are many such operators in Tanzania, the station in Pugu Road Airport area, Dar es Salaam, is preferred since it's automated. Motorists fill up their tanks quickly with higher capacity, reducing air intake during their refilling process.
The difference in prices between compressed natural gas and petrol and diesel is 50%, which is a very tangible and considerable amount of saving for the fueling cost.
Mastaga's Takadalbit station was contracted by Takadalbit. It is a joint venture between Takar Arabia and Genoese Continental Group Oil and Gas, which focuses on investing, developing, building and operating compressed natural gas filling stations and conversion centers.
It is considered as a cheaper, cleaner, affordable and reliable source of energy.
Takar Dalbit Master Gas Station's selling point is its innovation and technology.
1 kg gives around 9 to 11 kilometers.
The target is to open 3 more such automated compressed natural gas filling stations in Tanzania, with a long-term plan to have 12 stations across the country by 2027.
It is a friendly environment as it decreases the carbon dioxide emissions by 25% as compared to petrol and diesel.
It costs about 100,000 Kenya shillings to convert a car to start using compressed natural gas.
That marks the end of business news for tonight, but on the other end of the studio we have Bernard Okumu with the day's sports. My name is Odim Mojenga. Have a good night.
Butterfly Care Center. Na watoto hawa wanahitaji proper improvement kwa dormitories, classroom, kitchen, vyoo, mahali pa kuogea na mahali pa kuchezea. Pamoja tuna nguvu, na ndio maana star 570 hash option 4 kuna probox na 1 million Kenyan shillings. Inamaanisha kila stake ambao unacheza nayo ili kushinda probox au 1 million, part of it inatengwa ili kuimarisha maisha ya watoto wa Butterfly Care Center. Iko na ni mpya na inakufaa na ni star 570 hash option ya 4. Pamoja tuchezi tu, tunasaidia na tunashinda.
And a very good evening. Welcome to Prime Edition Sports. I'm Bernard Okumu. Spain-based Aldrin Kibet scored a hat-trick as the national under-20 soccer team Rising Stars registered a well-deserved 4-0 win over Sudan to qualify for the semi-finals of the ongoing AFCON under-20 Sekafa qualifiers at KMC Stadium in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
The Salim Babu Chargers came into the match focused to bag maximum points to avoid a match-up against tournament favourites Uganda in the last 4.
Adrian Kibeti akiwatanguliza vijana wa Kenya Harambee Stars. Adrian Kibeti, nyota wa Nasi Academy.
Adrian Kibet scored for Rising Stars in the opening minutes of the crucial time.
Zinafanya kadani kule! Dikabao! Adrian Kibeti! Adrian Kibeti!
The former St. Anthony Kitale Zitman extended Kenya's lead before the break. Midfield sensation Kevin Wanganya added the third goal in the 66th minute before the Nastic Academy forward Kibet completed his hat-trick in added time.
Tyrone Jr. Tyrone. Nafasi nyingine. Adrian. Kibeti. Hat-trick. Adrian Kibeti.
Kenya kicked off their AFCON Under-20 CECAFA qualifiers campaign with a 2-1 win over host Tanzania, who have also qualified for the semi-finals, followed by a goalless draw against Rwanda, before humbling Djibouti 4-0 on Sunday.
And well done to Aldrin Kibet and the rest. The lads are just one match away from qualifying for the finals of the AFCON Under-20 in 2025. Meanwhile, Kenya's sole medalist at the Paris 2024 Paralympic Games, Samson Opio Ojuka, is the LG SJAC Sports Personality for the month of September. Now, the law student at Kenyatta University bagged a silver medal in the T37 men's long jump as Kenya almost finished the prestigious quadrennial event without a medal.
Ojuka shattered the previous African record of 6.05 meters set by Andrea Dale Ave from South Africa in 2015 in Johannesburg. He is the first Kenyan to win a medal in the discipline in the history of both the Paralympics and Olympics. He is also the first to win a medal at the Paralympic field events since Mary Nakumicha bagged a silver in the javelin throw at the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games. For the prestigious monthly award, Ojuka beat a strong field of nominees, among them newly crowned Diamond League winners Faith Kipyegon, Emmanuel Wanyonyi and Mary Mura, Faith Cherotich, Amos Serem and Beatrice Chebet.
It's truly amazing what you people are doing, especially in promoting athletes like us, motivating us through such awards. It's an honor, and I want to give special thanks. For me, breaking the African record, it has truly opened up a lot of doors for me, and I would like to say that I'm grateful.
We admire his can-do attitude, his never give up spirit, his winning attitude, and that's why as LG we felt that he deserves the award for this month of September. Congratulations once again, Samson, and we are very proud to be partners with SJAC, and we are very proud of your achievement and continue doing Kenya as a whole.
Also in contention were cricketer Rakib Patel, Harambee Stars striker Valerie Nekesa, rugby stars Amon Wamalo of Kenya Harlequin, Darwin Mukiza, Dennis Abokusi of Menengai Oilers, newly crowned African Rally Championship winner Karan Patel, as well as Helvik Simiyu from Kabaddi.
Elsewhere, the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup kicks off tomorrow in the Dominican Republic, with Kenya's junior starlets set to make a historic debut when they take on England on Friday.
Kenya's junior starlets qualified for their historic 2024 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup after defeating Burundi 5-0 on aggregate. To the delight of the nation, they are now determined to give a good account of themselves when they make their debut on Friday in Group C against the young Lionesses of England, who are hungry for a good return after being away for 8 years. The Mildred Cheche Charges will play North Korea on Sunday, with the Song Sang-won side targeting nothing short of a double to match their under-20 success. Kenya will wind up their group matches against Mexico on the 24th of this month. The team had been training in Spain before they left for the Dominican Republic, ready to take on the rest of the world. Nigeria will be the African first team to take part on the pitch tomorrow against New Zealand in Group A at the CFC Stadium. The Flamingos of Nigeria are on a quest to make it to the final and bring the trophy home to recover the 2022 World Cup disappointments, where they finished third. Defending champion Spain will begin their title defense against United States of America in what is expected to be a mouth-watering match at the Felix Sanchez Olympic Stadium, with the Americans aiming for the only missing global title at that level. Host Dominican Republic will kick off their debut in Group A on Thursday against Ecuador as the 2022 runners-up Colombia take on Korea Republic in Group B.
Meanwhile, Zimbabwe thrashed Namibia 3-1 in Group J to boost their chances of qualifying for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, with Cameroon, Algeria, Burkina Faso and hosts Morocco having already secured their slots with 2 matches to go.
Zimbabwe are now second in Group J with 8 points following that win, 4 ahead of Kenya, who must win their remaining 2 matches against Zimbabwe and Namibia to harbour any hopes of advancing to the Africa Cup of Nations finals after losing 1-0 to Cameroon yesterday. Namibia are out of contention, having lost all their matches. The indomitable Lions of Cameroon, who led Group J with 10 points, have already secured their place in the African showpiece with 2 matches remaining. Algeria qualified from Group E, where they beat Togo 1-0 to add their tally to 12, 5 more ahead of second place Equatorial Guinea, who beat Liberia 2-1. Burkina Faso have already booked their ticket in Group L, which they lead with 10 points, 3 ahead of second place Senegal. Meanwhile, the Super Eagles of Nigeria have boycotted today's match away to Libya over what they termed as inhumane treatment after they were stranded.
Meanwhile, that does it for the sports desk this lovely evening. I hand you back to Tom and Irene Muchuma for the remainder of the Prime Edition. I'm Bernard Okumu. Have a good night.
Many thanks indeed, Bernard Okumu. Of course, earlier on we had Wairimu Njenga, fondly referred to as Nemo. She was handling the business docket. And
Muchuma Odim. Thank you so much for your time. And looking at your feedback on our socials, Kennedy Sitati, we are waiting for the final determination of the court tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. And Brian Ohungu, you're watching KBC Channel 1 all the way from Webuye. Rachel Chitanda all the way from Nairobi. And Tom, what should we expect tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah, that's right. Tomorrow, the embattled Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, of course, is going to face the Senate. And we know that the Senate is going to sit for 2 days to hear and determine one, arguably one of the most significant political hearings ever in this country in recent times. And that's the impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Of course, we'll be tracking that story for you here on Prime Edition.
And of course, we'll be bringing you the events live from Parliament buildings. But as we wind up this bulletin, we leave you with the Military Tales episode. And it's modern warfare has gradually shifted from the ground to the skies with drone technology and 5th generation stealth aircrafts taking over.
Yeah, that's right. Colonel retired John Mbuteti served the Kenya Air Force for 3 decades, and as an aircraft engineer who was behind the roars of those fighter jets and the precision bombers.
He shared his military experience with our reporter Ben Trenjue at his Kibimbi home in Kirinyaga County for this edition of Military Tales. And as we step out,
our sign language interpreter
is Susan Thuku. I am Muchuma Odim.
And my name is Mboya. Good night from Nairobi, Kenya. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. Bye.
Thank you.
For this week's edition of Military Tales, we take it to the skies. We visit one Kenya Air Force colonel in Kirinyaga County who served for 30 years in various capacities.
Yes, how are you, Mr. Njue? Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Karibu Mugumoine Garden. Mugumoine. Yeah, and particularly the home of Buteti.
Yeah. We have a sit down in his garden that he has planted a variety of trees and flowers.
My name's John Korum Buteti, and a retired officer after serving the armed forces for 30 years. I joined armed forces in 1985, and to be precise, in May 1985, and retired in 2014, August. I was born in 1962 or thereabout in a place called Kangai in Kirinyaga. I started schooling there in Kangai. It's called Kangai Primary School. I did my CP in 1979. Then I proceeded to do my secondary school education, and I joined Machakos Technical School. I did electrical at the technician level, electrical engineering. I proceeded to do my A-levels in Jiris High School. where I did my A-levels in 1984, and I joined the armed forces in 1985. That is May, and I joined now as an Air Force cadet. I went to Lanet, and I started the training.
Fresh as a cadet, Mbuteti joined the Defense Training College and was later sent abroad to further his education and training.
I was posted in Laikipia Air Base, and after 1 year, I was taken to do my engineering officers course in Kenya Defense Technical College. Then it was Kenya Armed Forces Technical College, where I did my engineering course for about 1 year and a half. That is from 1988 to early part of 89. I was seconded to go to UK and take further studies in engineering, and to be specific, I did ground radar course. That is ground engineering radar course, which again, it was mainly telecommunication. And that actually was my line of training in the armed forces. So I stayed there for 1 year. 1 year, I think, with 2 months, then came back in 1990.
When he came back, he was assigned the role of maintaining fighter jets.
February, thereabout. And again posted to Laikipia Air Base. That is where I started working as a young officer, now full lieutenant with the 2 pips. I was assigned the duties of maintenance of the jets, the ones that you hear. I think that they were F5s. And I was appointed as a flight lieutenant in charge of electrical and instruments.
Over the years, Mbuteti rose through the ranks in the Air Force and at some point worked closely with the late Chief of Defense Forces, the late General Francis Ogola, in Laikipia Air Base when the late General was a jet pilot.
I grew. I was promoted to a captain, became officer in charge, now from flight commander to officer in charge maintenance, the same line. During that time, I did some duties like an adjutant. I have fond memories of Jenogora. One, as a colleague. At some point, Jenogora was my neighbor. Like, I was in his house, and he was like there. And there was a lot of things we used to do. He was a great man. One, a family man. Two, as a Christian. And that is where we connected most. Because before I joined the church, he was the chairman, like Air Base. I came in. I think I came in after he left. I was the chairman. So we used to go for this military Christian fellowship. At some point, we were rank mates, majors. We were lieutenant colonels at the same time. Then, of course, because of his performance merit, he was elevated to where he went. And he has never shown any difference, even at whatever level. As a colonel, as a general, he was the same. As a pilot, I was working as an engineer there. We used to support each other.
Kano was also active in sports and was instrumental in shaping athletics in the forces.
One, I found it as a relief. To me, I was very good at sports, athletics, running. I used to do 10,000, 5,000 and 10,000. Yeah, at the base level.
Yes,
at the base level. And it is during that time I was appointed the OIC sports, and specifically athletics. And that saw me joining the team, the Laikipia team in Nyahururu as a training officer and also as the officer in charge. And during that time, I actually became a manager. That is the time we used to have the likes of the current chairman,
Paul Telgat.
Paul Telgat.
Yes.
We had people like Robert Kibet. We had people like Sigei, William Sigei.
All those who are from the armed forces?
Yes. We had Ngugi, John Ngugi. Yes. Indeed, Sigei was from my unit. At one point, I was the manager, team manager of the cross-country, this armed forces, East and Central Africa. And of course, I had a team of my own, and my team won. That is the Kenya team. I was promoted to a lieutenant colonel and appointed SO1 plans. SO1 means Staff Officer 1 plans in Air Force headquarters.
Colonel Mbuteti stresses the importance of peace, having served in 2 peace missions, with the most notable one being in East Timor.
Back in 2000, the year 2000. That was Indonesia. East Timor was part of Indonesia. They erupted a conflict, and there was a lot of killing. The country was in tatters. There was nothing. 75% of the country was actually burned down, completely burned down. To maintain peace, that was the mission number 1. 2, to rehabilitate, because we had a team of Kenyan engineers. But Bananjue, there is something maybe before we continue, I would want to highlight here. I realized all worship places were left intact. That's another thing I maybe noticed. Despite of the chaos, no worship place was touched. And that's where most of the citizens actually took refuge. Our headquarters was actually occupying the former central bank. We found money, bags and bags of money. It was rendered useless overnight. Other, is it traumatizing or chilling moments when you go out there and you see how brothers have slaughtered each other. I still remember, there is a place I went there and met fresh bodies. And the way they were killing each other, slaughtering. Sometimes it becomes emotional, Wananjwe. Because you see, mama ndio huyu, na mtoto yake ndio huyu, wamekatakatwa. We wonder why. But I think it's all because of the bitterness, the emotions that are there. Because in South Sudan, there are some areas people go for others' children only. They will come and attack a home like this, and the only person they will take is abduct a kid. And for that matter, a boy. It is there. I mean, peace is everything. Peace is everything. And it can just be lost in a day. Like in East Timor, I think it was 2 weeks and the country was burned down. And it was devalued to nothing. People died, and that country, even up to date, has not recovered.
Soldiers live by the code of brotherhood, which he experienced firsthand during a swimming expedition.
As we were swimming, one of my colleagues actually got stuck in the middle of the ocean. And when I saw this, there's nothing else I can do but to jump into the ocean again. We held each other. I tried to rescue this gentleman, but nothing. We started sinking together and drowning together. And one of the guys who managed to come and rescue us, it was a Timoree, a very good Timoree who came swimming, shouting that we are drowning, and among other friends of mine who are there, that is colleagues. That's how we were rescued. So what I realized is that comradeship is very important.
After retirement, he decided to venture into counseling psychology, something he had started before retirement.
Let me say, on opportunity basis.
And how was the shift? 30 years in the military to now being a civilian, that was quite a paradigm shift.
I can't say I'm fully into it, because having stayed 30 years in uniform, and the only thing you know, yes sir, no sir, I mean yes sir to your boss, and somebody is saying yes sir, saluting. There is no like, hey, hapo tutaweza, hapo buda tutaweza.
Air Force engineer who has a checkered resume is a husband and a father and has now turned to business and farming.
It was also a transition to get used to your spouse and get to know her better.
Yes.
Yeah, it was also a process. And even your children. I'm a father of 3 boys. And I realized if things has to be done, some of them have to go through
the mother.
the mother. And that's a fact of life. I remember when going to East Timor, I actually went out there. I left my wife expectant, and I came back when the kid was 5 months old. The kid was screaming. He couldn't take me on as a member of the family. Much as a Christian, I'm also a Kikuyu elder here. Kiama. And also when I joined them, they taught me a lot.
After the sit-down, we tour his farm, which he practices mixed farming. Without a doubt, he has maintained his farm with military precision.
This is one of the very important trees in our Kikuyu tradition. This is the moratina. Ikiwa mti inaitwa keratina. The fruits of the keratina or this tree it is the one that is used for brewing beer. Try it. It's very heavy.
So this one can make how many? As in, it depends. It hasn't been processed yet. One of the quietest and deepest rivers in the country.
A small distance from his home, he also sells animal feeds with some grains harvested from his farm.
These are the things that we use to make this
supplements.
We wrap up the visit after sharing a meal with the Colonel and his wife. 30 years as the guardian of our skies with unwavering commitment to excellence, Colonel Mbutetti's service epitomizes courage, honor, and integrity. For Military Tales, I'm Ben Troy Njue.